Okay, as I said, in hospitals, in a professional environment, generally you don't use any of these presets. They are literally just memory storage points to store different settings. So if you were a patient at home, for example, and you were treating multiple areas, to save you having to manually enter the settings every time you want to perform a treatment, what the Hidrex allows you to do is to store your unique settings for each treatment area and basically recall them for when you treat that area. So it's kind of a convenience thing, really. In hospitals, you wouldn't use that because every patient's different and you need to cater to that specific patient's needs. The next light down is the MA light. Now, the Hidrex will display in the power side in volts or milliamps. Milliamps is a measurement of the current passing through the body, and it's affected by the resistance, the water temperature, quality, hydration levels, skin thickness, etc., etc. So what's better is that you have this light off, and that means what you're seeing is actually voltage, so you know that the power you're applying is uniform. So it's a much more refined adjustment, you'll see changes better, and it's a much more positive number. So use volts if you can, that's the best way forward. Underneath that we come down to the pulse setting. This is what tells you whether the machine is in pulse mode or direct current. Now this machine is in pulse current, it's in P90, so the pulse light is on. And finally at the bottom here you've got the dive light. The dive light is basically the immersion monitoring system. This Hidrex machine has multiple safety features that other machines don't have, and one of the main safety features that it has is immersion monitoring. Now, the machine will sense when you enter the water or when you leave the water, so when the circuit is closed and broken. And what it does, dissipates the current and prevents you getting the static shock that people who have already done Iontophoresis with other machines will be all too aware of. It actually allows you to take your hands or feet in and out of the water, and it will pause the treatment without adding to the treatment time. So it's a really, really useful feature. It's great for if you need to, break away from the treatment for a few minutes or, make a different adjustment to the settings. It's a really, really useful feature. So I'll show you this action now. I'll place my feet in the water. You'll see the changes that happens on the screen, so you'll know what to expect. And so here goes. Okay, so my feet are now in the water. The dive light is on. The power dropped to 0, and it's powering up to the voltage that we input into the machine. If at any time you find it uncomfortable, you just touch a button and it will pause, and then you can make an adjustment and say, okay, well I'm fine, we'll bring the power up. You'll notice that I'm pressing the button multiple times to make it move 1 volt. That's because while it's under load, while the circuit's closed, it moves in quarter volt increments. So that allows you to make a really kind of refined adjustment, because the difference between comfortable and uncomfortable can be a quarter of a volt. So that's why that does that. So it's automatically counted down on the timer. It will provide power for the 20 minutes. At the end of it, it will power down to 0. You'll see the word end on the screen, and then you can pack up and move on.